Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas, and we are in the final stretch of our season prediction and schedule breakdown series. And today we have Josh Heupel's Tennessee Volunteers. Now, looking ahead to this year for Tennessee, they'll be bringing in a new quarterback. They have Jim Knowles coming in as a new defensive coordinator. So there's a lot of new on this Vols team. There's also a lot of really good on the Tennessee Vols team. It's so much young talent. It's a lot of, Jim Knowles coming over. The book on him is kind of you need a year or two to get into his scheme. So it'll be good this year because the transfers he's bringing over with him. But with his entire Tennessee team and how much young talent there is on offense, especially at quarterback, but also like receiver and at running back, this isn't a rebuilding year by any means. But to me, it's a building year. I think Tennessee is building to 2027 as really the year that they can go compete to win the SEC and make a run at a really high national seed and maybe even a championship. So let's go through the schedule for this season real quick. It's not the most, this is not really a groundbreaking prediction. It's pretty modest. I have Tennessee just be having a solid season, but 2027 is going to be a very special year for the Vols as long as they can retain their talent. But just going through their schedule for this year, in week one, to open it up, they host Furman. That'll be a win. You'll get to really see both those quarterbacks in play, whether it's Faison Brandon or George McIntyre. You'll see them both in week one. So in week one, they get a win over the Paladins. In week two, they got a good little out-of-conference game here. They go to Georgia Tech. They go to Atlanta. I've got them beating the Yellow Jackets here too. I mean, Tech's going to be a solid team. They always will be under Brent Key, but they're losing a lot. They lose Haynes King to the pros. They lose their backup quarterback, Aaron Philo, to the portal to Florida. They lose their OC and Buster Faulkner. So they're bringing in a ton of new stuff. A new offensive coordinator there going up against Jim Knowles and this totally revamped Tennessee defense. I don't like that very much at all. And it will be the first road game for whichever Tennessee quarterback does get picked. Now, that is not good. It's not ideal. But with all due respect to Georgia Tech, it's also not the most hostile environment that those two guys will play in all year. So I don't have that being too big of a worry. I've got Tennessee over Georgia Tech in week two. And in week three, they come back home. They host Kennesaw State, another light game. That'll be a win, obviously, for Tennessee. And then they begin their SEC slate. Now, in week four, they host Texas. It's a pretty intense opener to conference play. And this could be one of those spots where you get the home team, you get the younger, maybe a bit less talented, but still full of firepower home team who can really jump on, the team coming in. I don't have that happening, because I think Texas is too good this year. So I do have the Longhorns beating Tennessee here in Neyland. But, this is going to be one of those games where first off, Rocky Top is going to be all the way turned up. The environment is going to be incredible, especially if Tennessee is 3-0 at this point, which they should be. So the environment should be crazy. I think Tennessee is going to put up a really, really good fight against Texas. I'm just not sure they have enough to beat them over the course of 60 minutes. So I'll go Texas over Tennessee. And the Vols start off conference play 0-1. But then in week five, Tennessee gets Auburn, a much easier home opponent in conference play. They'll beat the Tigers here. I just think that, they'll be ready. They'll be coming off, in theory, their first loss of conference play. So you kind of get that first loss out of the way so you can kind of play a little more free. I've got the Vols beating Auburn. They have a little more talent, I think. Just more proven talent, at least, than the Tigers do. So I'll go Tennessee over Auburn, especially with that game being in Rocky Top. And then week six, they go to Arkansas. I'm predicting a loss here for Tennessee for a few reasons. One of them, obviously, is that Arkansas is a very talented. They have a ton of young talent. This will be a big-time win for Ryan Silverfield in his first year to really be able to hang his hat on. Right, say we beat Tennessee at home. The real reason why I have Tennessee losing this game to Arkansas is because in week seven, they host Alabama. That's really what I think is going to be a look-ahead spot for the Vols on the road in Fayetteville. I have them losing to Arkansas, but when they come home and they get their Crimson Tide, just hang with me, Vol fans, I have them beating Alabama at home. Neyland has been a death trap for the Crimson Tide recently, ever since they got over that hump in Tennessee. And I don't really have that changing this year because Bama, it will be week seven, but they still have a first-year quarterback. And at this point, for Bama, they won't have been in a place like Neyland. This will be by far the biggest, loudest environment that quarterback has been in. And for Bama, I still don't know much about their running game. I obviously, by week seven, we'll have some answers. But with a running game that has question marks, and a quarterback making their first start in a stage this big, and Jim Knowles, I have a hard time believing that Bama's really going to be moving the ball that well, and this is just a spot play for me more than anything. Right, this is going to be the game that Tennessee is up for the most all year, so give me the Vols over Alabama to continue that streak of beating Bama at home in Neyland. Vols win that game against Bama and move to 5-2 through 7 games. And in week 8, they go to South Carolina. I have this being another game that's kind of victimized by that Bama spot. I think you have a hangover. You're on the road against the Carolina team, who, in my opinion, is going to be desperate for wins at this point. that mixture, I have them losing to South Carolina as well. So Tennessee, I've got them beating Bama, but surrounding that with 2 road losses to teams that they are better than, but it's college football. So I've got loss to a worse team, win over probably a better team, loss to a worse team in that 3-game stretch, heading into their bye week. So I have Tennessee being 5-3 through 8 games, going into their late week 9 bye. And then coming out of that bye, they host Kentucky in week 10. I've got them beating the Wildcats there. I am pretty excited about Kentucky this year. I don't think that that's going to translate to on the road in Knoxville. I think that Will Stein's going to be able to really build something there. I like some of their pieces, but Tennessee, especially coming off of a bye week and a losing 2 year last 2 weaker teams, they're not going to lose this game at home. So because of the spot, because of just team talent, I've got Tennessee over Kentucky. In week 11, Tennessee goes to Texas A&M. I think at this point, right, you've got 3 losses for Tennessee, so you're not really playing for a playoff spot, whereas A&M, they will be. So not to insinuate that Tennessee won't be up for this game, but A&M's going to have a lot more to play for in this spot. You get it in College Station. I like the Aggies' talent roster, probably just a little bit more than Tennessee's, just because of how young the Vols is. So I'll go A&M over Tennessee in College Station. In Week 12, Tennessee comes back home. This will be their senior day. They're hosting Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers. So you get Lane back in Neyland. This isn't nearly as high stakes as one of the last times he was there, but that still is a factor. You're going to get an LSU team who has a lot of hype, but in my opinion, if you have seen my previous stuff, I'm a little bit lower on LSU than most people. I think it's a lot of new. Sam Levitt's banged up. It's not an easy schedule. So at this point in the year, I think that LSU is out of the playoff. I don't think that they're coming into this game like, okay, we need to win this game. We need to keep making a playoff push. I don't think that they're there. And with that in mind, and the way this team is constructed, with a bunch of transfer portal rentals, a bunch of money, and a bunch of guys who are there to win a championship this year, how badly do they want to play on the road when that's not there for them? I have questions. So, and also just Tennessee at home, senior day, it's a hell of a spot for them. So I've got Tennessee over LSU for all those reasons. And then week 13, Tennessee ends their year in Nashville at Vanderbilt. This game I really went back and forth on. I'm picking Vandy. I'm going to go with Vandy over Tennessee here. I just think, the season ender, Commodores, that home field advantage now for Vandy, now that Diego Pavia sort of built that place up, now it's legitimate, right? That is now a legitimate stadium. It's not Rocky Top, but it is a legitimate stadium, so the environment will be very good for that rivalry game. I do have Vandy being in a bit of a down year this year, but because of how I know that coaching staff is able to fire their guys up, they will be up and swinging for this game. At this point in the year, Jared Curtis won't really be a redshirt freshman anymore, and neither will the Tennessee quarterback, but I think I've got Vandy just really punching up in this spot. Tennessee, they won't roll over and quit because it's a rivalry game, but you're not playing for a playoff spot. What are you really going for except for the rivalry, which is normally enough, but I've got the Commodores at home this year. So I have Tennessee ending the year 7-5. So like I said, it is a modest record prediction for the Vols. But in those wins, if Tennessee beats Bama, if they catch LSU, and when they beat Kentucky, you're going to see flashes of what this team can do next season. I can't confidently say that they're really there yet, but you're going to see the flashes of what this team can do when they're a year in altogether. 2027, I think, is going to be the year of the Vols. And we'll see how much of this roster Heupel is able to retain. But hopefully it's a good bit because the collection of talent on this Tennessee team is crazy. So for this year, as they're getting used to each other, a bunch of new coordinators, a bunch of new players, I have it being a modest 7-5. But don't take that the wrong way because next year, I think I'm going to be a whole lot higher on Tennessee. So that'll do it for the Vols schedule prediction and season breakdown. I've got them going 7-5, but thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. If you do want more college football content, SEC stuff every single day leading up to the season, subscribe to me here and follow me on Twitter. I'm doing it daily, almost 24/7 until we kick off in August. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I've been Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.